Just how feasible is it to electrify an urban logistics fleet? And let me just start with a little bit of background on UPS. Picking up on Andy's comments, what do we do? So we don't make anything, we move things around the planet. We move a lot of things of different shapes and sizes, but our core business is moving things in boxes. And if you look at the top left-hand side of the slide there, that's our core business. And in the urban environment, those boxes move in multi-drop vehicles, 3.5, 7.5 ton multi-drop vehicles. And that's what I'm going to be talking about this afternoon. Also, to Andy's point, we do rather a lot of that. If you look at some of those numbers, it's a global business that operates at scale, and it's very asset intensive. We use a lot of trucks, we use a lot of aeroplanes, and it's the trucks I want to talk about this afternoon, over 120,000 actually of them now on the road globally. So when we talk about doing that sustainably, then emissions and congestion clearly become our top priorities, and our strategy in light of those priorities is innovation, because we think innovation can actually act not only as a solution to the problem, but actually also as an engine of business growth. We think that if we innovate in the fields of efficiency and then alternative ways, completely different ways of doing things, then that mitigates risk. And it does a whole bunch of other things that I've listed there that can support the business. So effectively a win-win, moving in the right direction for society, but also for the business. So I want to look a little bit more at that now. We have a roadmap on what we think are the correct alternative technologies to take us beyond the diesel truck. And I'm not going to go through this roadmap in detail, but I'll summarize it for you by bringing up these two lines, which says that in the urban space for local collection and delivery in our cities, in our towns, in our villages, we think two things are going to be really important going forwards. Firstly, electrification, which is what I'm going to concentrate on in the next few minutes. Also, interestingly, cycles. Won't talk about those this afternoon, but there are ways of eliminating trucks altogether. And for long haul, where electrification is not yet feasible, renewable natural gas. And I'm actually very pleased that I think what I'm saying here is consistent with previous speakers, in the sense that we think that there is a space where electrification does make sense, and there is certainly a space where electrification does not make sense. So for the long haul, I agree that the internal combustion engine with renewable fuel has a long future. But I'm going to concentrate on the electrification opportunity in the urban space. And I want to talk about London. So we identified London quite early on as a great opportunity for us to investigate this technology and explore the potential. Why London? Well, because that red star there is our London operating centre, our central London operating centre. It's in Camden, not so far from here. And it's actually very close to the area where it serves. So that made it a good base for experimenting with pure battery electric vehicles within the range constraints that we would have. You can see the area that our London centre serves there, marked out with the black border. The other great benefit of electrification for us from an urban collection and delivery perspective is that all of our vehicles are back at base overnight. They can be plugged in, recharged on a slow charge. We don't need fast charges, all the complexity that has been correctly explained that attends with that challenge. About 200 vehicles based where that red star is located. About a third, actually a little bit over a third of those are now electric. So how hard has that been to get to that stage? So I'm going to separate the challenge into two categories. Firstly, there have been challenges with the vehicles that we've been steadily working through, and I'll summarize those challenges into three pieces. There's a lack of OEM product. The manufacturers just don't make the things that we need, with some notable exceptions. One or two are here in the audience, but broadly the big players aren't yet making what we need. A whole raft of economic, commercial reasons behind that, but that's where we are. High cost and a lack of range for some applications in cases where our operating centre is further from the location served. So we've been working through that steadily. We got our first EV about 10 years ago from a very laudable company called Modex, sadly no longer with us, but they made a very good product. It was OEM, but it was high cost and it also lacked range. When Modex ceased to exist, we moved on to a process of converting diesel to electric vehicles. So we've for a long time built our own diesel urban collection and delivery vehicles. They look like that one on the top right there. And we worked with partners, A4S in Germany, Teva now in the UK, David's here in the audience, to implement a process whereby at the midlife point, around about 7 years old, convert vehicles from diesel to electric, just to understand how hard this was going to be. So it wasn't OEM, it was still high cost. In the range extended form, it got us over the range application, the range difficulties. Still not the end solution to the problem. We think the end solution is going to look a little bit more like this. This is a partnership that we're building right now with a company called Arrival, a British startup based up near Banbury, quite exciting new venture. And this is taking us into the world of very lightweight, modular construction, bespoke design, urban collection and delivery vehicles that are OEM, much lower cost. They have good range. So I think the future for the vehicles is starting to come under control, starting to be resolved for the urban fleet sector. But that's not the end of the challenge, because even if you have the truck, you need, to Colin's earlier point, to be able to get the power to the vehicle overnight to recharge it. And that gets you into the world of infrastructure. This is where the transportation world meets the energy world. Yeah, and that merging is certainly going on. And our experience has been not a very pretty one. We've found that there are network pinch points all over our operation. Even with just 10 electric vehicles in our central London operating centre, we ran out of juice, the lights went out, and we had to start to engage in the world of network upgrades, which proved to be very expensive. Non-incremental, meaning that you can't just do a little bit and then a little bit more. You have to really think about how much you need to keep it remotely cost effective. And you find yourself buying assets that don't even belong to you. You find yourself buying assets that belong to the network operator, UK Power Networks in this case. We think technology will play a big role in solving these problems. Smart grids, energy storage, timed connections. We last year formed a consortium with UK Power Networks and Cross River Partnership. We were fortunate to get some support from Innovate UK, and we implemented what we think is the world's first fleet scale combined smart grid and energy storage system just up the road in Camden, which took our local recharging capacity threshold from a limit of 65 vehicles to the entire fleet without another upgrade. So technology can be a big piece of the solution here. It can reduce CapEx. It can also introduce opportunities to reduce OpEx and even gain revenue by trading energy overnight in the V2G market. So we're not at the end of the road, but I would conclude that urban fleet electrification, whilst not easy, is possible. It will take time, money, and collaborative commitment from industry, government, and civil society to get it right, but get it right we must. Thank you very much.